Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Boardmasters with me, Chris Mullins, joined once again by Chris.
Hello there.
And we are going to give you our review of Villagers, which we played last week. I will link to the gameplay down below. Well, the video was last week, we played it 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But yeah,
seems like yesterday.
The video will be up last week and I'll link to that, and I believe the expansion for Villagers will be up on Kickstarter when this is uploaded, so I will link to that as well if that is the case. As long as they don't delay it, then it will be. But as ever, the review will follow the 5 categories that I always follow on a review, so art style, theme, component quality, accessibility, replayability, and the overall gameplay. And so let's dive in with the art style and theme. What are your thoughts on it, Chris?
Well, I think the game, for what it is, looks absolutely gorgeous. I really like the art style all through, from the box.
Yeah, I mean that's beautiful. A beautiful vista.
The artwork on here, and even on the box itself, there's a lot of beautiful art all round, different, like a country scene.
Yeah. And it matches the theme all the way through, doesn't it?
Yes.
I mean, It's not the sort of game where you necessarily look at the art and think, I don't know how to word it, in terms of, it's not the most artistic in terms of like ether fields or something, or what else? What other games? I'm trying to think like properly like beautiful watercolor scenes and everything. It's more simple elegance, isn't it?
Yes.
It's really striking and bold.
I like the way they're all different.
Yeah.
All the pictures are different, and I like as we found out in the earlier game, the fact with these cards here, if you turn them over, you've got a male and a female. So
yeah, they played 5-6 games of this and didn't realise there was a male in them. I did notice when I was shuffling that some were different, but I just thought there was a couple of token different ones thrown in. I didn't realise they were double-sided. But I mean, simple elegance, I guess, for the art just matches the rest of the game, because I would say it's the same with the theme, that you are setting up a new village.
Yeah.
You want to make it as prosperous as possible, and that's it. There's no grandiose theme or narrative. It's just, this is what you're going to do. The art style matches it really well. I think the mechanics match with it really well. It runs all the way through.
Mm. The theme actually reminds me a little bit of another game, Agricola, which is a farming-based game where there's card drawing. So I think that the theme is quite similar to that, because you've got the farmers and you've got the thatchers and the weavers. All those are in that game as well.
Okay, I've heard of Agricola, but I haven't.
Yeah, it's worth checking out.
I think it's in my top 100 scratch poster that Stace foolishly bought me, because now it makes me want to get them all. And if it is, then it will certainly be one I play eventually. But
yeah, gotta catch them all.
Yeah, if it's anything like this, then I will definitely want to play it. So diving into the components, obviously they are fairly basic. I mean, it's a box of cards with some cardboard coins, and
yeah,
that's basically it. But I mean, I think a price point on Zatu, I think, was just over 20 quid.
Yeah, so it's its money really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you could maybe deluxify the coins probably if there was an add-on on Kickstarter, I imagine, where you could get metal coins. But
imagine that.
I mean, they're pretty redundant. You only really use most of them at the end of the game when you're scoring up. So although they're nothing to write home about, there's no problem with them. They're fine. They do the job.
I think it matches its price point.
Yeah.
I mean, the card's fairly decent, well, relatively decent quality.
Yeah, I don't think it needs too many bone style PVC cards and chips for the money and things like that. I mean, they could have done that, but I think that would have been a bit... Obviously, it would have driven the price up to a point where it probably isn't viable for this type of game. So, basic, but suits the game. And yeah, I guess simple elegance maybe covers that as well.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, good components for the price point. Yeah, there's not much more to add. I
No.
think Chris is
Not a negative, but not a big plus either. But replayability. What do you think on that?
yeah, I think this game's got amazing replayability. Possibly right up there with the best I've played, to be honest with you. So although you do start with on the road the same
Six
cards,
always.
you do always end up with the same 6. There's so much variance you could have on what cards you choose, and you could obviously take the gamble and draw from the decks.
Yeah, there's so many branching.
Yeah, there's lots of ways you can go.
I adore this game. I'm so pleasantly surprised by this game because I wasn't sure at all. I got this as part of the Streets campaign. Streets wasn't even a game I was going to back originally. I gave in to FOMO, I think, at the very last minute and got the double pack. And obviously this has sat on the shelf for 6-7 months. I think I got this end of November, beginning of December.
Yeah, I certainly remember you had it before Christmas.
And I only got it to the table a week ago, or early June, and I can't get enough of it. I absolutely love it, and we played 6 times in 2 weeks, and I would happily play it over and over and over again.
Every game has been very different. There's a lot of strategy involved, foresight, planning ahead. I think as well, it's you've got to go for what you want to go for, but you've got to keep an eye on your opponents as well. So there's that competitive edge to the game.
Yeah, blocking can be a very viable strategy, can't it? You've got to adapt your strategy on the fly. I mean, yeah, we all want to get, we don't even have any on the board. We want the jewelers, we want the fromagers, we want.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a truffler, but we want you want to get the 3-4 card chains, but they come up so rarely that you then have to adjust. Do you go with the ore mullers and just double down on just getting loads of ore cards so that makes a load of money? I won the game in the last week with the solitary cards, doubling down on just getting building cards and food cards, and
there's quite a lot of, shall we say, educated gambles. You do have to make slightly. You have to take a chance. But yeah, as far as the actual, the game itself, the replayability of the game, I just think it's fantastic. It's very replayable. And once you've sort of, I know we're going to go on to gameplay in a minute. Once you've sort of got the whole thing set up, and you've sort of like punched the coins out, you've got the cards in the right setup in the box, it's very easy to sort of like to take down and put up. Is very
okay. Yeah, fair point.
Very easy.
Well, that leads nicely into accessibility, and yeah, I definitely will echo that point that once you've got everything out and arranged, they've got these dividers in the box. So you have your initial player setup cards, and then you have the 6 road cards, and you have the basic villagers. So everything is separated in the box, and it literally took us a minute.
Yeah.
It took longer to shuffle that pile of cards than it actually did to get everything set up on the table. And that obviously is a massive plus for anything in terms of accessibility. The only time it takes putting it away is finding the 6 road cards and separating those out, because the amount of times I've shuffled them in there.
I know. It's definitely advisable to after each game to put them to one side, so you're not mixing them up, and your founder as well.
Other than that, obviously we've already talked about the price point already. It's a cheap game, so there's no hurdle to accessibility there. It's not widely available. I know it is available on Zatu, because I googled it earlier, but there weren't many other places it came up, so it's not widely available.
No.
But it's not like completely out of print, so I don't think that's a major problem. And I imagine there's probably second-hand copies around, but
yeah, I did a quick Amazon search this afternoon, and it wasn't there. So
no.
But like Chris said, I think if you look in the right places, there's that too.
Yeah, I would imagine if you go to Sinister Fish Games website, I will link to that down below as well, and I would think that would be available through there. But yes, it's quick to learn. I think.
Yeah.
That first game, I would say, it took some getting used to in that first game, and that it was a slower game because we were referencing the rules a lot, but I don't think it was particularly complicated.
No. I think it's quick to learn, but it takes time to master.
Yeah.
This game.
I think as well because it was both of our first games that we were.
Yes.
It's not like I probably should have done a solo game or something to learn it and then teach it, but we were both learning it at the same time, which always makes it a bit more awkward.
Yeah, and also we were pulling cards tonight that we'd not seen before. There was quite a lot of different cards.
Yeah.
We sort of had to adapt and get used to.
Well, yeah, I mean, it says it all. On our 6th playthrough, we're still unveiling cards that we hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
And that's without going into the extra cards for 4+ players that are in here, which I don't know if we'll ever see, because I don't know if we'll ever have 4 or 6 players. But
it would be interesting.
Yeah. But I think
the players.
Accessibility is a big plus point on this.
Yes.
And I definitely agree with your sentiments that it's easy to learn and hard to master.
Yeah.
I feel like we're still learning strategies and things, and whereas other games you play them 3 or 4 times and you pretty much know the route that you need to go to win it. And
I know you're not necessarily a big fan of competitive games, but I think this game just offers something different. I think you can sort of almost work together to be competitive, if that makes any sort of sense.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because I mentioned in the Hogs of War review that 2-player skirmish games do not appeal to me at all. But I don't even feel competitive when I'm playing this.
No.
I mean, yeah, to be fair, I probably only really considered blocking you last week because you blocked me. It's not something It does have a sort of element of solitaire that you're playing on. Although you're against each other, you're not necessarily interacting with each other.
Yeah.
You can. The option is there, so it's not like Terraforming Mars, for example, that I know gets some criticism for being 2-player solitaire. There is interaction if you want to do that, but I really enjoy 2-player solitaire because it's competitive without that take that aspect as such, which I don't often like, but it doesn't harm my enjoyment of this at all. I absolutely love it.
And I know when we first started playing it, Chris referenced Happy Families as a slight similarity. There is a where you've got to collect all the different bases all the way through. There is a slight similarity there, but it's a far more adult, much more going on.
Yeah, I mean, I compared it to Happy Families, and that was because Happy Families is a game, probably the first game I remember loving as a kid. I always remember going down my grounds, get the pack of cards out and play Happy Families on a Sunday waiting for the roast, and absolutely adored that game. And this gives me all of that nostalgia. It's obviously a far more advanced game, a far more grown-up game with lots more going on, but it gives me all the feels and the nostalgia of being down my grounds playing a game of Happy Families.
Yeah.
And I'm certain that is a part of why I love this game so much, to be honest. And
familiarity.
The nostalgia, everything. We've segged completely into the gameplay section by now, but obviously it's set collection and it's always thinking on your feet, adapting strategies depending on what cards come out, changing, pivoting how you go. It's far more depth to the decision making than I imagined this game would ever have. And I adore it for that.
Yes. For me too. I didn't go into this game with necessarily high expectations, to be honest with you. I didn't sort of say Dinosaur Island, I didn't go into it with that sort of expectations, but actually this has really surprised me, this game.
I thought it'd be a good fun game. but I didn't think it'd be a game I would love as much as I do.
Very replayable.
Yeah, I would never ever say no to someone asking me to play Villagers.
No.
And it's got me so excited for Streets when that arrives, hopefully in a couple of months, by the end of the summer.
Fingers crossed.
Hopefully it plays as well as this. And who knows, maybe I'll break and back the expansion, but Stace will slaughter me because I have pledged not to buy anything for 6 months. But we'll see. So I guess all that it remains to be done is give a score. And I'm struggling with this, to be honest, because I really, really want to give it a 10. And I don't feel like I should, but I'm really struggling to find a reason not to.
Yes. I think there's very good reasons to give it a 10. All the points we've touched on in the review. I'm actually quite struggling. I'm actually struggling as well with what to rank it. Because my opinions sort of changed even playing it tonight. I actually like it more in the few games we played tonight. So, I'm going to give it a 10 because for what it is, I think the price point, 20-25 quid. You know, so it's very accessible. On that regard, if you go to the Zatu website, you'll pick it up for that sort of money. Replayability is probably the most replayable game, or certainly one of them I've ever played. You'll get that money back very quickly, just the replayability itself.
Yeah, I mean, we've played, 6-7 games?
It's obviously not meant to be, highly technical, lots of components to the game. It's not designed to be that way. It's designed to be fun, replayable, and lots to sort of learn and adapt to. So I wasn't going to give it a 10 because I gave Too Many Bones a 10, and
yeah,
and then I look at this and think, oh well, this compared to Too Many Bones is far less components.
I think it's that argument within the community, in that I don't know if it's an argument or a trend. Something I've discovered in the last year is that I think people mark games down for being lighter, which I think is wrong. I think it's a pretty elitist, snobbish attitude that something simple can't be great.
Yeah.
And I mean, I suppose I could maybe mark it down on the components, but that doesn't seem fair because of the price point, and the components don't harm the experience in any way at all.
No.
And I gave Destinies a 10 recently. I gave Too Many Bones a 9.5, but I've had more fun playing this than Too Many Bones. I love Too Many Bones, but it can be hard work at times, and I never feel like this is hard work.
No, it's definitely not hard work. And also as we touched on before, the setup time, the takedown time. I think it's I have to give it a 10, like I said.
Yeah.
For me.
And I think I'm going to as well. I feel like I shouldn't, and I don't know why I feel like I shouldn't. I probably shouldn't feel like I shouldn't, because it's a fantastic game. I've loved every playthrough, other than maybe that first one when we were learning the game.
I think the thing with comparing this to Too Many Bones, obviously you're comparing a game which is, probably near £200 or more, to a game that's £20-25. So you shouldn't, as Chris said, you shouldn't take that into account on any game you play. You should just base your score on its face value and how much fun you have with the game and how much you enjoy the game, as well as everything else.
You've got to judge the game on its merits, and
I really enjoyed it.
Excellent. Well, there you have it. The first pair of 10s, certainly, on the channel. We seem to be throwing them out a bit at the moment, though. That's, I think, 4 in 3 reviews now. But that is our review of Villagers, and we hope you enjoyed that. I certainly enjoyed it.
I certainly did too.
And we're going to leave it there, so thank you for watching. Look after yourself, stay safe, and have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.